Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. There's nobody here yet. Today we're going to be doing my Genshin quests. So I'm recording this for the VOD. And man, is it ever going to be super cool. I don't know. We're going to try to have some fun. We're going to try to complete my Archon quests for Fontaine so that I can move on to Natlan. But we'll see how far we get.
Exploration and trials. Adventuring is right up my alley. Instead of confining themselves to the heavens, God should broaden their horizons in the world below. Nice and cool. Natlan doesn't have places like this.
What this I should do? Oh, I got it. Okay. There we go. Alright, on with completing our quests. On with completing our quests. Da da da.
relax. Even if everyone else suspects Lyney and Lynette, at least we will be supporting them from the stands. Besides, I doubt for...
Thanks, Navia.
Best of luck to you.
Ah, finally, you're back. Well, how did your investigation go?
When I've already seen it, yeah, I do skip through the dialogue.
To be honest, you might be disappointed.
No. We're already very grateful that you were willing to help.
Well now, don't you all look disappointed. Don't tell me that your investigation came up empty-handed. That was to be expected, of course. The guilty can never produce proof of their innocence. But don't let that stop you. I shall be terribly disappointed should you, my most anticipated foe, concede so easily.
Since both parties are present, I declare that the trial regarding the magic show incident is now in session. Firstly, in order for the audience to understand the causes and results of the incident, could we please have Mr. Lyney explain the trick?
Yes, of course. I will explain while Lynette demonstrates on stage. All the necessary items have been prepared.
Thank you, Mr. Lyney. In that case, I take your statement to be that you ran to and remained hidden within the magic box in the audience stands once the trick began, and thus could not have committed the crime. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
In that case, I call upon the prosecution. Lady Farina, do you wish to refute his statement in any way?
Why, of course I do. Allow me to take the first shot and break this case wide open. Mr. Lyney is clearly lying.
Alright, Farina. Alright, sure.
There is no way you could have been in the box the whole time if you were to abduct Halsey and murder Cowell. In fact, I'd say you were hardly in that tunnel at all.
That is simply your hypothesis based on the presumption that I'm guilty.
Oh, is that so? And if I may ask, what did you hear while you were inside your box?
The roaring countdown of the crowd, of course. That's how I kept track of the time and built anticipation for the finale.
And you didn't hear anything else at all?
No, nothing.
I see. But when the count reached 30 seconds or so, there was a thud. One so loud that I believe practically everyone heard it.
Huh?
Hey, hang on. Something's not right here.
Yeah, I'm sure he could have heard a noise that loud from inside the box.
I was right by the box and I definitely heard the thud.
Look at those scales. Could those mean...
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to use the words of the magician himself. You never know what can happen in the blink of an eye. Indeed, it seems his alibi can also collapse in the blink of an eye. Of course, I have armed myself to do far more than smash your alibi. Confidence cannot go unfounded, and my foundations are rock solid. Tell me, aren't you and Lynette actually from the House of the Hearth?
The House of the Hearth?
They're a Tui?
No wonder they did something like this.
So the serial disappearances were the Fatui's doing. Now it all makes sense.
I've got a feeling that what happened on stage probably wasn't just an accident.
That's irrelevant. Our identities have nothing to do with what happened.
Indeed. Then perhaps you could tell us everything that happened during that 1 minute. Your first priority is to prove yourself innocent after all. I'm sure there is little that needs to be kept secret now. Unless your script already has holes in it. The Outlander is speechless. My, oh my. My, don't they look flabbergasted? Now comes the infighting and discord, I suppose. This was almost too easy. Good thing I made all those preparations. Seems the all-nighter I pulled last night is really paying off.
Hey, Lyney, why didn't you tell us this before?
Order! Order! Mr. Lyney, allow me to re-establish the facts. Lady Farina has raised 2 points. First, when the thud was heard in the Opera House, you were neither in the box nor the tunnel. Second, you and Ms. Lynette are both members of the House of the Hearth. Are these claims true? Please answer my question, Mr. Lyney.
I'm sorry. Yes, they're true, Your Honor.
I knew it!
Well, that's it. We might as well move on to the sentencing already.
What should we do now?
Granted.
Oh, these are interesting choices. I wonder if these change things. My client has withheld some key information.
In that case, what is your request?
I request a brief adjournment. Nah, okay, it doesn't change.
Is that really necessary? They're already as good as guilty.
The defendant deceived their own attorneys. What is there left to discuss?
Order! Order, I say! Your request is reasonable, and we shall adjourn. This trial will reconvene in 1 hour.
So you would stick to Mr. Lyney's defense even after knowing what you do now? You certainly have more professionalism than I thought.
I mean, of course I do. That's really simple.
In that case, my dear audience, let's allow the joy of victory to steep for a little while longer.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, this is awkward. I didn't think the Hydro Archon would dig all that up. I'm sorry, Traveler and Paimon.
Yeah, sorry.
Paimon doesn't know where to start. We trusted you two.
I know, and now they're Fatui? Like, that's awesome. So cool.
We based our entire reasoning on the assumption that you weren't bad guys. Not to set the wrong tone or anything, but Paimon's really mad.
5 months really bad.
I'm very sorry. I know you're angry, and reasonably so, but please, let me explain. I know you've clashed with the Fatui several times before. I wouldn't be surprised if just hearing the word is enough to make you upset. But our organization is very, very large, and the Harbingers have very different personalities and goals.
Right now, we want to save people. As many as we can.
That's right. I'm sure we're on the same page when it comes to this nation and the disaster that its people might face. I knew if it weren't for our respective identities, we could become good friends. That's why I didn't wish to flat out lie to you, but chose to hide some details instead. The truth is very important, but being completely transparent about everything would see us spending more effort than we need to. Right. So, you be the judge. Heck, if I were you, I fear that I'd even struggle to trust me at this point. You met a Fatus who works as a magician, a trickster by trade. All by coincidence, too. But still, I'm asking you to trust me. I am no criminal. At least, not in this case.
Sorry. Please forgive us.
Well, you both say that.
That's cool. I really hope Child has something to do with why. Like, with what's happening. Not with the disappearances or whatever, but just... It's neat that they're Fatui, and then Child was also in the city, like earlier on in the story. Like, that's cool.
Right. Let's hear your answer first, and no lies now.
Of course. I'll answer any question you ask. We've been trying to find out how the Oratrice operates. We want to know why it has a consciousness. Why can it deliver sentences accurately?
That's a good question. I want to know that too.
During our investigations, we learned that the machine's core is beneath it. From that moment on, Lynette and I have been designing this box swap trick with the objective of getting close to the core.
Is that why you needed a whole minute?
That's right. In truth, the audience would take about 75 seconds to count down from 60, while I would only need 15 to get to the opposite box. So, after jumping into the tunnel, I accessed the Opera House basement via the vent, and went to investigate the room in which the core is stored.
That air vent was created during the construction of the tunnel specifically to execute this step.
Well, nothing. As soon as I reached that room and was about to investigate, I heard someone's voice. Which should have been impossible, of course. I was quite certain that I was the only one in the room. That voice seemed to recognize me and tried to speak to me. I chose to err on the side of caution and retreated the way I came. On the way back, I saw the broken vase and the clothes on the ground, but the countdown was almost finished, so there wasn't time to give it any thought. After that, the homicide occurred just as you saw.
Well, that explains why you didn't hear the thud.
Because of that prophecy I told you about, of course. We must know all we can about this nation's secrets in order to deal with that prophesized crisis.
Yep. Exactly. No way that the machine is actually, like, justice. Like, no way that works. Archons are not.
That's the only way we can save everyone.
So, there you have it. It was never my wish to proceed under this cloud of mistrust either. But, like I said earlier, you can be the judge. If you want to leave because you don't trust the Fatui, there's nothing I can do to stop you.
Well, Traveler, you decide. Paimon will follow your lead however you choose.
I believe in the facts.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us a chance.
The current problem is that the scales are tipped pretty badly against you two. If we want to refute the Hydro Archon's accusations, we're gonna need a seriously watertight defense.
Nah. We already got all the evidence we need.
Huh? Oh, Paimon thinks she gets what you mean.
Sure you do, Paimon. Sure you do. Okay, oh cool, we get to look at this. Yeah, that's his thing. This is interesting. This is very interesting. So, okay. So if I'm right about the way that you're supposed to be, like, assuming that the trial's gonna go, that means that because the Oratrice knows Lyney, that we're betting on the fact that it's not going to say that he's guilty, no matter what. I think that's the idea. Because if... Ooh, or maybe we're gonna call it as witness. I bet we call them, like, the Oratrice itself as witness because it knows where he was. That's gotta be it. And the nail-biting trial reconvenes.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Lyney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
Ugh, that took long enough. Now, at this stage, let's revisit that scene from Lyney's perspective.
Based on the opposition's account of events, you can identify loopholes in their statement. Ooh, loopholes. Use evidence and clues obtained during the investigation to refute any erroneous assertions of fact and replace them with new inference. Those are big words. And yeah. Alright. Use your refutations to convince the audience and obtain more support from the people. And it obtains such shifts. Alright. When you find and refute all incorrect content, you can complete the cycle of refutation and unveil the truth.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that this sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Lyney red-handed. So Lyney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him to that box. Afterward, Lyney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident. And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Oh, sure it is. Sure it
Does the
is.
defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events, what Lyney experienced, and what he saw.
Okay. Let's try to identify loopholes with this one, because I don't have any ideas here. So see, I don't know if there's anything wrong with this one, but this is wrong, for sure. So, upon entering the tunnel and did not witness the crime taking place, and thus does not, but except that that's not what this would be. Because this would be that, right? Lyney knocked Halsey out using the vase and moved her close to prevent her from being identified. No. Okay, no, this is this. Okay, so this would be here.
According to Lyney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Right. And then here, so then we'll do this. We could do that there.
He went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Then we'll say that. Okay, and then let me knock Cowell out. So we'll do this.
Lyney did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention!
And they're letting Paimon say it. That's funny.
When the countdown started, Lyney did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is stored. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent.
Yeah. Successful. Let's go.
Paimon did it.
It is a little bit annoying, yeah. I agree.
Wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right.
Moreover, I believe my opposition's reasoning is flawed. The onstage equipment was clearly tampered with in a premeditated fashion.
If that's the case, then if Carol hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lyney only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell them! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around. Oh, well, your denial is very strident. I'll give you that. But what
And
proof
do you happen
have
to remember?
back your claims? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why do you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
But your claim has also become a critical clue. Oh, interesting. I have a bunch of things here. Okay. Magic show. What am I supposed to... I'm picking something to say, I guess? Which is the evidence that Lyney wasn't in the tunnel when the crime took place? They're saying those three are irrelevant, so it has to be one of these. Or to break. From what we heard of work, she isn't known to have been entangled in quarrels with any of the members of Lyney's magic group. Entrances and exits to the opera house. Which is the evidence wasn't in the tunnel when the crime took place. Okay, saying all of this is irrelevant. I have to pick one of these three. It probably doesn't matter which one I pick. I mean, it's got to be this one, right?
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought? Paimon thinks...
No. Okay, so it does better which one you pick. Paimon's just like, ha ha ha. Which is the evidence that Lyney wasn't in the tunnel when the crime took place? This maybe?
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought?
Okay, so it's this.
That's right! Lyney wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he...
Oh, that's what they're looking for. Okay, I see. That was worded very strangely.
This means that when the crime happened, Lyney had already entered the basement via the vent.
I thought we already presented all this information.
The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Oh, that's what they mean. Yeah, okay.
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lyney who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Select the gear icons in the interface to check the corresponding case. Select the answers and fill all the empty gears to verify the correctness of your deduction. If you have made mistakes, run the remaining option. Okay. You complete the logic. The guard's investigation reports indicates that the fireworks released near the end of the show ignited and burned through the ropes defending the water tank of the stage. This caused the water tank to fall and fell foul in them below. If Lyney is no longer under suspicion, only the other members of the troupe would have been able to tamper with the props. Lyney gave a detailed account of how the trick was supposed to work, but by using a box inside a box, the idea was for the box containing the audience member to be transported across via a tunnel underneath, and Lyney himself would also use this tunnel to get to the other side. Having changed her outfit, Lynette and her assistant would take charge of onstage action. The clothes belonging to Halsey, the lady who went missing, were found in the tunnel. The reason for this remains unknown. Who was the only person who could have committed the crime? Well, it's not her.
Could there have been a third person involved?
It could be that.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
I mean, I think that it's probably Cowell, right?
Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along?
But see, she's not linked to anything, right? So it wouldn't make a lot of sense, I don't think, for her to do it. Now, Cowell died, right?
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment.
But my thing is, like, why was Cowell in the basement to begin with? You know? I guess because he's Lyney's assistant, like that. You're supposed to assume that. It's probably the third party thing, but I'm going to try Cowell once first. Nope, I'm correct.
Huh? That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Okay. I haven't been able to interfere with the crime. So, what's this?
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal.
That's good. That's good.
It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well.
Okay, I see where that's going.
Deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time.
Okay, so...
It would have been tough for both people to fit into... No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey?
So I'm gonna say this.
The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal.
Then this.
It would have been tough for both people to...
Then this.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel.
Then this. No, I'm incorrect. Garbage. The only one that's right is this one. There's an audible thump that many audience members... Okay. I'm right about that one. How can we envisage Lyney as having been unable to interfere with the crime?
Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. That does make sense because it's the one I didn't play. Right. Who is the prime suspect currently? That would be you.
Name is
Where did the missing house go?
It would have been tough for both people to fit in. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances.
No, that's not it. I don't know.
It would have been tough for both people.
Magic Trick must have been in a position to easily modify the equipment. All the means to commit the crime at his disposal. Like live in the sound of Cal and Halsey struggling. So again, time for Cal to bring Halsey out of the magic box in the audience. Opera House, so even if he had taken her, there'd be no means of exiting. Would have been in full view of the audience, pretty much guaranteeing that they would be discovered.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
I see how it is. So,
Look, since we're at a dead end, why, just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the
Losing ground again.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the deceased's name is Cowl.
It's the water.
The vase was not broken by chance.
It was the water.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not... Must we really? Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about 2 completely different things.
Even so, the truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reason. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowl.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowl's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowl belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
It is pretty ridiculous.
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowl was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two,
With me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Lyney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold the evidence, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make sense at all. Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial sea.
Okay, so he's the prime suspect.
His name is Cowell.
What item did the culprit use to control the timing of the dissolution?
Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. I remember there was something else within the inner layer of that box. The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. As such, now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of triggering I remember there was something else. The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. The water from the primordial sea should already have been. I remember there was.
So that's probably it, huh? Oh, you're supposed to go here. Okay. So that's this.
From the primordial sea
and then the mechanism behind the crime.
The rope that held the water tank up.
That would be it, right? Nope. I'm wrong. Okay, so then it must have been the hook, huh?
Like the hook rope.
Behind the crime.
That was in the magic box on stage the entire. I remember there was some.
There we go. Correct hypothesis. Yay. I see you're doing the Fontaine Archon quest. The GM would be proud. Also, yes, ridiculous. Also, Kyle is right. English emergency food has a not fun voice. Yeah. True. True that.
It's Paimon's time to shine again!
Of course.
In the original plan, Cowell was the with the water tank rope, and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to cover his tracks.
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of evidence.
Da-da-da-da-da. Not as bad as Dub Happy from Fairy Tale, but bad. I don't see anyone named Kyle here. You cannot escape the name Kyle. That's true, you can't. That's, yeah. There's that. Ooh, this is like the best part of the quest. Good luck, Regis. I love Paimon's glasses and mustachio combo. That is probably the best part of the quest. I like Paimon's get up. It's funny.
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I falsely accused an innocent person? What a humiliation.
Haha, that's right, you did. You falsely accused someone.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they uncovered new evidence. I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other people involved in this case, and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Lyney's personal effects.
Ooh. Ooh. Twist. Hey, don't hate on Farina. No, I will hate on Farina. I don't like her character so far. Really do not. Annoying.
What?
That can't be.
Oh, I see. Well, how wonderfully comedic to have your own counterattack only to come back and wound you.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Does this not, my dear citizens, my loyal audience, allow me to present my reasoning and bring this performance to
Hey, she's one of the best characters in the game. Just watch it. You'll like her by the end of the Archon quest. Yeah, maybe I will. We'll see. I know this is just her introduction. Anyway, but no, okay, because like I'm not wrong, right? Like it's got to come back where Lyney is suddenly the suspect again. Her voice is very snooty, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, but no, just think, like, so it comes back, like, it's got to get turned back around, because the reason that, that Lyney's proved innocent has to be the Oratrice, right? Because it knew that he was in the room. I mean, that's got to be the reason that he wasn't the one who did it.
Lyney did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, but upon his return, in cruel avarice, Lyney desired soul credit and prepared to do away with
Soul credit. Sure, because that's what you do in crimes. You want soul credit. I mean, it's not a bad voice. That's not what I was trying to say. Like, it's all right.
Ultimately, he
and she is supposed to be like this very theatrical actor, so it fits.
also became a murder weapon. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does seem that the famed Fatui is quite the cold-blooded and ruthless organization.
I mean, that is true. The Fatui is supposed to be this really cold-blooded organization. Yeah, the gameplay, no, I will agree with you there. The gameplay mechanics of this part with the whole refutation thing, this is cool. I do like this a lot.
Am I right, Miss?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. There's no... Is this the end of the rope?
Come on, let me edit. Let me edit.
Oh no. Paimon can't think of anything either. It doesn't look like there's any way around this. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now, and I believe this is indeed the finale.
Maybe the water was part of the magic trick to begin with.
Good, noble Chief Justice. Should we not, in your view, move...
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject.
What was that look about? Neapolitan was totally, like, scowling at her. That's funny.
Miss, I must ask you not to shout and to respect the ongoing legal proceedings.
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this debate and see a little magic? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Mr. Lyney, if you would be so kind.
What in the world is she saying?
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a magician.
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Lyney and Nanette.
Avia is so extra, it's great.
Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But, as the magic makers and stars of the show,
I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila.
And she's back!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So the whole thing about people dissolving wasn't true after—
Well, I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, wasn't it? I do really like Navi. She is a fun character. She is a fun character. Navi is cool.
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence.
Ah, she was involved.
I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate us three.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cowl. I admit it.
What?
Why? Yes, why? Why'd she kill Cowl?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt.
She's from Mondstadt, so the water wouldn't have even worked on her to begin with. Ha!
I heard that Lyney's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. And I'd never been caught before. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lyney
Oh, she was the one. She was the one who stole the thing. And the one we were chasing, it was her. It's been a while since I played this quest too, so that might have been more obvious, I'm not sure.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief. Lyney even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it.
Right, she wasn't actually trying to kill anybody. I mean, she is sus, but she's just a thief. So that was probably what's its plan. But then the thing about the primordial water doesn't make sense.
Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
Yeah, now it's time to refute the Hydra Archon's previous reasoning. I get to do it again, let's go.
This time, we need to tell the entire...
Okay. So, drop took rope, random number selector. Broken flower vase, the only ace class. Okay, so to use the prepared apparatuses for the magic trick before our eyes no longer holds water. I've reacted when the water from the post suddenly began to blend. Identify loopholes. During the switching performance, there's an audible thump. No. There are many pieces of broken. I don't know. Okay, this though is pretty clear. Lyney's magic performance, so she's looking over the audience, yada yada. Heard. So that would be That would be this, maybe?
See?
No. Maybe this? Yeah, okay.
Flower vase.
Meaning that they would have had to have been fighting for that to happen. So that makes sense there. What about this one? Lyney knocks Cal out. So that's obviously not it. That would be the thump. Yeah. Yeah, we did it. Okay, this has got to be the first one, right?
Seems.
Apparently I'm not good at this. Magic prop activated, causing the water to... Okay, so that would be the dropped hook rope. Right? At this point, I'm just guessing. I have no idea. Okay, this is that.
Was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes and hid, biding her time. Just what one might expect.
Okay, right. So that makes sense. I guess this would be the hook rope then? No. Okay, so after she changed clothes... Okay. Do I only get 3 tries? Oh, that's not good. Now I can't use it. So the broken flower vase is either the strange sound during the magic show or the random number selector. And I'm refuting Halsey was dissolved. So that'd be this. Yeah, okay.
The strange sound wasn't from a fight.
It's Detective Paimon time!
Having been selected out of her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard.
Okay, sure.
Hearing the commotion, Cowl leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian had not dissolved.
Much to his surprise, I'm sure.
He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her way in by stealing a ticket. Mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time, the two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top, knocking. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended.
The scorn in Paimon's voice is hilarious. It really is. Paimon's getting like way too into it.
She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the Opera House these last 2 days.
Like that filthy thief who stole a ticket. Yeah, exactly. Being stuck in the Opera House for 2 days is kind of crazy, though. I mean, that's a long time.
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses. Talk about a sneaky thief.
All the events that happened in the tunnel have now come to light.
Ah, so that's the whole story.
Bravo! Bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina. Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the proceedings have concluded.
What? Are you reading my mind now? No. I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Wow, look at that!
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall once again repeat the full sequence of events. The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation list.
Yep.
With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that the pre-selected young woman would be chosen.
Yep.
To cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved.
Right.
He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid.
Right.
Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to said box. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope.
Macaron thief, the real crime. Yeah, that's why Navia was upset. Farina trying to run away. Absolutely for real.
If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lillian was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lillian. Thinking that the waters had not yet taken effect, he decided to proceed. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious, and placed into the magic box, and thus became his own final victim. Lillian, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Lyney, he was in the underground structures within the opera house, and was thus ignorant of these happenings. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Lyney, the accused, is in fact innocent.
Yes.
While there is much in Lyney and Lillian's conduct that should still be investigated separately, this case, at least, can be handed over to the Oratrice to make the final decision.
I don't know. I'm really curious to see what the Oratrice would have said, like, if Lyney was found guilty by the court itself. You know what I mean?
As such, Lyney and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, part.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Lyney's bag?
Ooh. Ooh, there's another guy.
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know. Or was that not a discovery, but false evidence that you dare to bring before this court?
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Lyney, but you, yes? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket to Coupon Town.
To Coupon Town. I mean, I guess that would be the thing that it would do, right? Like it would operate off of popular opinion. But I don't know. I mean, false evidence, she says, coming from the one who delivered the false accusations. See? That's what I'm talking about. She's very presumptuous.
I was just following orders. We were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Lyney, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui. The higher-up said this was the best opportunity to do so.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, you have become a liability to said higher-ups, yes? Therefore, you would be wise to tell everything you know, and seek the protection of the guards.
Yes, I'll tell you everything I know. Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve.
All right, now we're figuring out why they were dissolving people.
It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause people to experience unforgettable exhilaration.
Okay. Well. Coupon Town means the Fortress of Mariopide, by the way. Got it, okay. You should visit sometime. What do you mean I should visit sometime? So yeah, drugs and water murder, like that's pretty wild.
We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it. The disappearances were also the boss's idea. I mean, this is the boss we're talking about.
He got dissolved. Man, they really made that pretty morbid looking.
And now he can no longer talk.
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act.
Okay, these people need to get some umbrellas.
All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
However, nothing was found on the scene apart from the liquid left behind after Vaughn dissolved. Da-da-da.
So, we're just going back now? That's true, but...
Paimon likes being a detective too much.
Traveler, Paimon, please wait.
Lyney...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't even want to look at me. But still, let me thank you again for defending me to the end, even after you learned that I'm a member of the Fatui.
I just wanted to be sure that we were square.
I guess. But regardless, I'd like the opportunity to set things straight. I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain Lyney this entire time. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of an orphan like me. That's all. That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave, approached recruiting us back then too.
Otets is their father. Who's Otets? Have we met him before?
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
Oh, it's a she. Of course. Because that makes sense. That's some Excel world logic right there. What in the world?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, would you mind hearing a story? It's about my past.
Oh, now he wants to tell me his sad story. Arlecchino. That's not her name either. Okay.
Back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wandering the streets.
Yeah, you're an orphan.
To survive, I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. It took me several days to figure out how he pulled off his amazing tricks. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded corner, and we began to perform magic tricks there. To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But I didn't want my sister to remain a street rat together with me forever. Before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility just like that?
That was how we felt at first too. As if fate was on our side and we could say goodbye to those painful days. But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he was really after my talent for magic tricks.
Kyle, doesn't this remind you? Yeah, she's got another name too. IIRC. Alright. Our story quest was actually quite fun. Kyle, doesn't the Lyney and Lynette's backstory kind of remind you of a series of unfortunate events? Like, the story is just very similar to me.
He would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
If I remember correctly. Got it. Thanks, Kyle.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than roaming the streets at any rate.
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle as me. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not come back. I went to that noble's bedroom and asked him about her whereabouts. The answer he gave me was, she caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who your assistant is, yes?
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws deal with such people?
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law.
Yep, that's true.
I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person and hurried through the night. But by the time I leaped over the walls, avoided the guards, and made my way in, all I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood, and the knave standing there in the darkness.
So, she'd already taken care of that guy.
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden in a basement, all of them orphans.
So see, here's the thing. I get that the Fatui are like schemers and stuff, and that the Traveler's supposed to be upset with them because of everything with Child before, but we're also friends with Child. And like, that's canonical to the story. Give me just a sec, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So yeah, but like, so we're supposed to be friends with Child, and that's like canonical to the story too. So why are we still mad at the Fatui? You know, like, and I don't know. I mean, I know one of them did like walk all over, what's his face, and they are trying to take the Gnosises and stuff. So there's that. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like, especially with everything with like the Traveler's sister and stuff too, like it doesn't seem like they're all the way bad guys. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I love a series of unfortunate events too. It was good. And then Kyle has done absolutely nothing. He couldn't even be bothered to answer your question. I see. Well. I think that... Wait, okay. Tsaritsa is the, supposed to be head of the Fatui, right? Yeah, okay. So yeah, I agree. I think I probably hold that theory too. I think the Tsaritsa is probably going to end up being a good person, right? At the end. Can't be a guy, she's female. Semantics. I agree.
Father, I mean, the knave, might have seen something in me, and so she made me an offer. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. Here, none will ever betray you. Indeed, betrayal shall never be permitted here.
Okay, now see, and that's interesting. Yeah, that's probably a good distinction. So see, a betrayal shall never be permitted here? Huh?
I was hesitant to trust her. I mean, I had just been betrayed by nobles. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us back our freedom.
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
I mean, she's totally after the Gnosis, though.
She has her own plans.
Lyney knows.
She has gained permission from the Sarita to first use the Gnosis' power once she obtains it. She plans to use it to find a way to break the prophecy and save Fontaine.
Sure. That's gonna be the reason. It's so interesting that they're telling me up front why they're gonna have to take the Gnosis at the end of this whole Archon quest.
So, she believes in that prophecy too?
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water, thus further supporting the prophecy. Everyone at Hotel Bouffe d'été, including the knave, has their roots in Fontaine. And we will always defend our homeland. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family, is our homeland.
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets to huge schemes like stealing a Gnosis, everything is aimed at dealing with that prophecy.
It's all right. I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decisions, and that if you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you, as plain Lyney.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye, Lyney.
All right. Now we have to leave the opera house. That's a wall.
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us, Navia?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting closer to solving the serial disappearances case, though. Don't you think so, too? Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can crack a case that's been cold for decades now? And given that there's new evidence from the trial, there should be a trail of breadcrumbs for the Hydro Archon's people to follow now, right?
Yeah, absolutely not. They're not gonna do anything.
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. But I suppose you are just travelers who have only arrived in Fontaine after all. Sorry. I might have been too presumptuous.
Don't say that, Navia.
Ah, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too.
Malus and Silver. I like this guy. Yeah, they are cool. They are actually really cool.
It was like having new waters flowing into a...
They might be my favorite NPCs that don't really have a lot of character design.
And the reflection in the murk to become clearer. Sorry about that. I'm a bit prone to nostalgia. Don't mind me.
Let's... Oh.
Wait, shall we have a farewell meal? You know, to commemorate our time as partners?
Huh? Do we really need to get that formal? Well, guess you really did treat us as partners, huh?
Well, I just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. That way there are no regrets later. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much of your time.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navi is treating, count Paimon in!
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the Court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make it just in time for dinner.
All right then, let's have...
Alright, see you, Nana.
Rise with the sun!
Alright, guess we might as well teleport then.
Lightning flash!
I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing up. I hope the food here will be to your taste.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this in a while.
In that case, I'll go order for us first. Please wait here a moment.
Ooh, everything looks so good. People in Fontaine sure know how to enjoy life.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina di Rosula next time.
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone. Albeit with only one dish per table.
You, sure have your own way of doing things. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? Wait!
Oh, true. Very true. In that case, boss, we'll have another 2 dishes.
Huh? Paimon didn't mean that you had to order even more food. Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances will get caught soon now that this has all happened?
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that means to dissolve these young women, but we still don't know what they are really after.
Precisely, yeah, absolutely. We don't know what they're still after. Like, why are they dissolving people? That doesn't make sense.
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed that a person could be dissolved like that.
Right? Yet
Sure you didn't, Paimon.
Such a preposterous notion.
Even though you were the first one to, like, propose it in the court case. That's crazy.
If only that guy could have finished speaking!
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like a yawning chasm if the trail of clues is cut off. To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might conduct. It's not that I don't have faith in their ability, it's just that a different perspective is required in some matters. It's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective, A shift in thinking is required at such times in order to produce a breakthrough, which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula exist. Those highfalutin folk are not all knowing.
Highfalutin.
That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where filth falls through, where their watch fails them. That's the kind of problems we solve.
Seems Paimon thought things were simpler than they actually are.
Why am I not surprised?
It's all right. Well, this was supposed to be a farewell meal, so I doubt you have further interest in this business, right? Let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial ended. It didn't really seem like the right time or place to do it anyway.
I see. So, your primary objective, which has been foiled so far, was to have a chat with the Hydro Archon. I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while, considering that you missed your chance today.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine, and that it'll be tough getting any of her time.
Well, would you consider some more, unique ways? Perhaps even methods of...
Questionable legality. That's funny.
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of sketchy ideas. Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would agree in order to finish watching the play, don't you think?
Could you suggest something a little more practical? This plan seems pretty hard to pull off. We'd have to go learn how to act, and acting's really hard.
Alright, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed. Then, wake her up in the dead of night and demand answers. Don't let her go back to sleep until she answers all your questions.
I like that plan. That's a pretty good plan.
I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as I can finally get some sleep.
That might work, but that's not really the problem. The problem is we don't want to get ourselves arrested.
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just thinking about leveraging a person's desire for sleep. All right, no more joking around. Perhaps you could... Oh, I don't know. Cut the line when she's on a break. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations. False accusations she had nearly upheld personally. I imagine that she feels quite ashamed about the whole thing.
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense. Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know...
Huh? Paimon, did you drink my Fanta?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention and the cup was right next to Paimon. Would you like to order another?
No, it's fine. We're just about done here.
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fanta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Huh. Well, in that case, we'll have to blacklist the Fanta here then. If we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Thanks for the treat, Navia.
See, I feel like the end lines there were kind of supposed to be important, but I don't really get what they mean, just talking about the drinks being salty.
Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so... normal. You know, like you.
Okay. As for expenses this month, we're left with...
Hey, Navia! What are you doing over there?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to Con again. Bye, Navia!
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're always welcome to contact the Spina di Rosula. I'll give your requests the highest priority. In any case, I wish you smooth sailing. I'll see you again, partner.
See ya!
All right. It is, but don't worry about it. Okay. I won't then. Switch to running. Oh, I'm going back to the Fountain Plaza again? Right, because we're trying to go talk to Farina. Of course. Oh wait, sorry. Supposed to go to the fountain. I'm supposed to go to the fountain.
There aren't many people around anymore. Looks like that boat.
Vache.
Fountain's talking again.
Looks like we're back here again. Huh? Traveler? Are you hearing voices again? That's kind of spooky.
This has to do with the people dissolving.
Sure we don't want to come back in the morning?
Vache? Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? Huh? Hang on. Paimon can kind of hear a voice. It's calling for Vache, right? Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Ooh. Oceanid.
Vache, are you my dear Vache? No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Do you know Vache? Do you know where my love is?
Are the Oceanids people who've dissolved?
Wait. Who am I? I'm very sorry. I fear I do not know. My memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So many fragments dissolved amidst the tide, never to be recovered. How much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land have I since forgotten?
I'm right, aren't I? Oh, no. They went the Gargantia route.
Yes, that is what I was once. But now, I am but the consciousness of one who is lost, therefore. I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in light blue water. And then I also remember going to many places. I loved adventure, loved exploring places of peril. No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. I knew how dearly he loved me. And I also loved him equally as much. But now, we can no longer go back. The pain of such parting. I never knew how heavy it could be. No, our reunion no longer has any meaning. There is no way for us to create any new memories. The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie forgotten beneath the waters.
Man, he's depressed.
If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to move on. That is the only thing I still remember. Perhaps that is so. As I was submerged in the waters, losing consciousness, I saw Vacher above the surface. His eyes were filled with such sorrow, such longing. If only I could have comforted him, told him that I did not suffer. Indeed, I had felt a great warmth. Is that what you call it? Dissolving? If anything, I consider it a form of release. It was a state of neither fear nor frenzy, with only an endless peace, like the water's still surface. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived for so long in a world of endless want and anxiety. I think I hear your companion. It's time for you to go, I think. Farewell, then. I am glad that you were able to sense my presence. Remember, if you see Vacher, tell him not to seek me out any longer.
Interesting. Very strange and interesting. Avia's outnumbered. Alright, we're fighting some constructs. Let's go.
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex.
Ooh, is that the knave? We're fighting some chlorine. Never mind. It looks like she's taking out the robots.
Quick, now's our chance!
Genshin should really make an anime. Their fight scenes are super cool. They know each other. Interesting.
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Clorand. But before I do so, could you explain how you managed to show up here?
I followed you. It seemed to me that danger has followed you more closely as of late.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually called stalking, is it not?
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and I will not betray his trust. He would do the same, were he alive today.
Do not speak of my father!
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not strong enough.
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech. I believe we all wish to avoid unnecessary emotional harm.
Sorry, I did not consider your feelings.
Whatever. What else do you know? How did you come to the conclusion that I'd be in grave danger?
I doubt I know much more than you, but I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is very powerful. Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
Huh. I'm sure they've known about me. To be honest, I'm shocked it's taken them this long to act against me. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with a Maison Gardiennage could control them.
Oh, you thought so, huh? Hmm. They're making one. They're making one what? A mech?
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used by the authorities to enforce the law. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means, deploying them as a private force of sorts.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do not act rashly.
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That's my father's true last wish. Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clarand. But if you get any ideas, tell me first. I don't much appreciate being followed.
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you.
Oh, an anime. Gotcha. When's it supposed to come
I
out?
suppose that's the best news we've gotten today.
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clarand was being sincere with you. If we tried, we could attempt to thaw relations a little.
I know, I just... She's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done for! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and Nadia and her gang saved us!
So they were after us.
Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clarand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. In truth, as such, we're still partners.
It will take 50 years for me.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula on account of her goodwill long ago.
No idea. Gotcha.
All right, you two. That's enough.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger?
Well, to be honest, you're the one who tipped us off, Paimon.
Gotcha.
Huh? Really? Paimon contributed somehow? Ooh, Paimon's even more amazing than she thought!
Yes, all thanks to you grabbing my drink by mistake.
How did that help?
After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I suddenly thought of what you said. That the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky.
Oh no, they tried to get her.
Fanta only comes in sweet flavors. So how could it have tasted salty? The color of the drink, if I recall, had also been a bit off.
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from the primordial sea?
Yes. So if you hadn't drunk that cup for me...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Huh. Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. But whoever did this left no trace at all.
Okay, it is so weird that, like, the whole primordial sea thing works on the people of Fontaine. Like, what's the deal with that? I hope they explain that at the end of the quest line.
That's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and hurried here as quickly as I could.
But why would they go after us, too? All we did was defend Lyney in court and help clear his name. Ugh, now we're caught up in this mess, too, aren't we?
Of course we are.
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty proud of, and almost got their name in the process. Speaking of which, did anything strange happen when you drank the primordial seawater?
Well, it can't be a coincidence that the traveler fainted just now. He said that he heard that voice calling for Vache again. Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too, but it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial seawater then? Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity to hydro when it's used on people who are not from Fontaine?
This primordial seawater is some really weird stuff.
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel? While you were out cold?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh, that is important.
Yep. And they become oceanids, which is really, really interesting.
Ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the crime scene. But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he? Yes. Thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll help us investigate?
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. That means we're still partners, right? And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
And this will prove to be their biggest mistake.
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are Suspina di Rosula, after all.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to one of our bases, shall we? I'll arrange accommodations for you. We also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bonds as partners. But we'll take that one step at a time, I guess.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely secure.
I believe you, Silvery. Ooh. Go to the Spina di Rosula stronghold, and it's gonna be back across the thing. I'm so glad fast travel's a thing, because if they expected you to walk all the way over here, go to the metro station, ride all the way back to the city every single time, that would be just ridiculous. Ooh. Jump up, get ready, let's go.
It's right up ahead, but let's make sure we weren't followed first.
I've been keeping watch, Demoiselle. I haven't spotted anyone suspicious thus far.
Huh, very good.
I shall find rooms for our respected guests.
Thank you, Malus. Now, let's continue, Traveler.
Ha, we were followed. There are people here. It's in the sewers. Of course it's in the sewers. I think Fontaine sewers are actually the part that I like about the city the most.
This is your base? It's not quite what Paimon imagined.
Your accommodations have been arranged. Under the present circumstances, I can confidently say it's the best we have.
Well, our funds have been a little tight lately. After all, we don't allow illegal or unethical profiteering. In fact, our funds often come from citizenry who support us.
Seems like it's tough times for everyone. But if you have the support of the people, that does sound like it's worth it.
To be honest, our financial situation was a lot better back when my father was in charge a few years ago. I'm afraid I'm not quite his equal.
Your father... he was the previous...
Demoiselle, if you'll allow me to explain.
No. I'll explain it myself. I suppose I couldn't run from this topic forever. And as partners, this is something I hope they can understand. My father's name is Callus. Yes, the same one they call Callus the Unfaithful in the streets. 3 years ago, he was accused of murdering his own friend. But he chose a duel to defend his honor instead of standing trial. He died in the duelist's ring.
Oh no.
But I do not believe my father was a murderer. I'm sure he was set up.
He was set up.
I believed that if he only stood trial and was duly investigated, something amiss would crop up and prove his innocence.
Yes.
Strangely, he not only requested the duel himself, but rumor has it that even after being seriously injured, to the point where he could be deemed as having lost the duel, he refused to surrender, determined to die in the arena. 3 years later, I still don't understand why he did that. How could he protect his honor if he's dead? If anything, he gave up his chance to defend himself. The closest piece of info I have is that my father had been investigating the serial disappearances case at the time of his death.
So that's why you're so determined to get to the bottom of that case.
That's right. I've also tried to investigate the murder my father was implicated in, but I haven't found a single new clue in my countless reviews of the investigation records. However, I believe that if the murder case is related to those behind the disappearances, they must know something. I must know what really happened. Was my father coerced? Framed? Even if he really did kill his friend, I must get to the truth. If only he'd been more open with me when he was still alive. He even hid the fact that my mother died due to complications when giving birth to me.
Well, okay, but that... it seems like a weird thing to tack onto the end of that whole explanation, but okay.
And now, here I am investigating his death.
Demoiselle, please.
I also will never believe that Master Callus murdered anyone. There are none whom I respect more than the two of you, Demoiselle. Master Callus did so much good in life, yet all it took was one murder case for him to be dubbed Callus the Unfaithful. Even our supporters decreased greatly due to that incident, hence our strained finances at present.
Wait, if Callus was such a good man, wouldn't people at least be a little suspicious when he was accused?
No. Perhaps people just revel in that kind of drama. It's not something exclusive to people from Fontaine, really. Everyone's like that. People love watching the evil turn over a new leaf, but they also enjoy watching good people fall into an abyss from one slip-up just as much.
But how could... never mind. If Callus was really falsely accused, we have to find the truth. He didn't deserve to have that happen to him.
There is one other thing. Master Callus's opponent in the duel was Ms. Clorand.
Ooh, the plot thickens. Interesting.
Oh, her? Well, then, isn't that as good as saying that she was the one who killed him? Yeah, that's not the sort of...
Ms. Clorand has always placed great emphasis on the honorable nature of the duel. If her opponent doesn't yield, she will not stop either. She knew Master Callus beforehand and greatly respected him, but seeing how he was resolute in the arena, there was only ever one choice she could have made.
It's not that I don't understand her at all, but I just can't deal with this yet.
Don't worry, Navia. Paimon knows...
Afterward, Ms. Clorand told us that at the start of the duel, Master Callus requested that she ensure Demoiselle Navia's safety.
Yeah, he totally intended to die in the duel.
That is our understanding as well.
Oh, Papa. What madness drove you to ask the person who killed you to take care of me? All right, anyway. that's the information I wanted to share with you. Even if it did sound like I was just complaining towards the end. Thanks. You two should go and rest. This was quite a day after all.
Yeah. Paimon feet.
Please, relax and get some sleep.
Hey. Oh, this is my. Okay, I'll rest right here.
Paimon slept, huh? Navia? Where did the other two go?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back? Were you waiting here the whole time?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vache.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere. I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this Vache person is a key witness in the incident.
Have fun. All right, will do. Bye, Kyle.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten, no matter how much they wanted to. And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Neuvillette, a place where detailed files on all the cases in recent years are kept. If the Oceanette you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
So Neuvillette maintains an archive of case files? In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we?
That's what I thought. It's not public knowledge, is it?
Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
This is interesting.
The Palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
This place does look pretty heavily guarded.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to. Our rules make no exceptions.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician Lyney.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Lyney's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Thanks so much.
That's funny.
Please come in.
Oh. Oh.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalet. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
Who knew that Nervalet would be so easy to talk to?
Neapolitan's a great stand-up guy.
Unfortunately, I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years.
Yeah, she's really old.
There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take our leave now.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette? Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort. You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear. If you truly regret my father's death, then why didn't you call a stop to the duel? Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice. My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
That's heavy. Oh.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
Oh, that's cool. They did the Full Metal line. That's neat. Okay, so what'd you miss? I got through the trial. We just had, and like some of the just back and forth quests. We just had the thing where Navia let Neapolitan have it, so that happened. And then they did the Full Metal line, which is pretty great.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
Unless I guess it's actually raining. They still did the Full Metal line, though.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
Rain, huh?
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene? That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value.
Is that what it means? Interesting.
Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the rain? Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier? All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll...
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great. Let's go then.
It's cool that it gives me the option to just go ahead and fast travel over there. Saves me some time. Especially since I didn't have the teleport waypoint unlocked. Ooh, do we get to sail the ship? Is that a thing?
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common. A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought
Yep,
you were
pirates. I like it too.
Rosula had a glorious past.
What did I miss? No information, unfortunately. You cannot sail the ship.
Paimon was confused why a group with such a history.
Yeah, you didn't miss much, Gideon. I just got through the trial, and now I'm investigating the serial case murders. Disappearances, murders. Same difference. I mean, they're dissolving people with water, so...
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
Talk to my Luis on the ship. Interesting.
Light it up!
Maloose, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners. You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the Primordial Sea? You still remember, right, Maloose? On that night...
So if the Primordial Sea, like, melts people, does that mean that people in Fontaine can't swim?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Lyney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson.
Synth. I recognize that. What's that from?
At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
Never mind. It's just drugs.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the Primordial Sea.
Primordial seawater is not the same as normal water. They can swim in normal water. You want to clip what? Don't clip that. Whatever that was.
If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance. As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
Never mind. It's just, I don't clip that.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened...
I think there's something similar in Star Wars. I think that's what it reminded me of. Or synth just sounds like something that would be a drug in fiction. I don't know.
Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Famous last words. Don't clip that. I know. I mean, even now, but especially if you had like a bunch of viewers and stuff, you would just want to ignore that. Like, don't say don't clip that because then they'll do it.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lyney's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all. Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene.
More people getting dissolved by primordial water. Crazy.
It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet. But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene.
I hope at the end of the quest line we figure out how to undissolve people.
Consider why the 2 shots were fired. You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we—
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with zero warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning. Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives. There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself. Was I not
Yeah,
supposed to speak
Poisson.
to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end? Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that. Ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable. And
Yep,
more
very reliable.
importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case. But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
Yep, which is why he had to go into do the duel, because if he didn't do the duel, like they caught him in the act, and then if he didn't do the duel, they were going to probably go ahead and just like dissolve her on the spot because he was so close to it. That's why he was, you know, so intent on dying in the duelist ring. Very interesting.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he
Here we go.
had been diagnosed with a rare illness.
Cowrie syndrome.
Doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live, and the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety. 5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict, but once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina de Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right. So nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
Well, you know, except for the hotel thing.
No, I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
Yep.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world. But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Huh. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, it's the enemy's headquarters. When he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades. There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war. The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine Authority?
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Lyney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Dun dun dun!
Huh. That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Malus.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Malus. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to was that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here. When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors. If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people. The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well. Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson.
In Poisson.
This helped it to grow to its current size and prominence. In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yeah, a sister organization.
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support. It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically
So like Florent or
step ahead.
Thierry is definitely most sus to me. I don't think it's the other guy.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly. To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death. After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today.
I think it's just his accent. I mean, I sort of get why you're saying that, but no, I think it's just his accent.
If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the
You just got a very gravelly voice. Gravelly voices tend to sound like you're talking through a walkie-talkie.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Leave it to
We
me.
can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
All right. So we're supposed to visit Jacques' family. I think, though, that that's going to be where I stop on this today. I might stream some more Genshin tomorrow, but I have some other things I got to take care of IRL, so I'm going to be done for now. Yeah. All right, then. See all of you later. Yippee-ki-yay, nerds.